right, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. It's nice to be here. You enjoyed a little bit of traveling for those of you who were at Monterey Bay. But hey, we're back here in studio. I am, of course, Max Simpson, and joined by a man who was at one point in what he described as freezing cold temperature. Was in, I think, 3 or 4 layers.
Cold.
He was shivering. Oh, Mr. Owen Evans.
For God's sake.
How was your time in California? It was a nice little trip.
Nice little trip.
So, except for the Sacramento part.
Yeah, apart from the Sacramento part. But we got past that. We get past that. We always do. It's in, it's out. Now you go somewhere better. But hey, you've been busy since I've been away, Max.
Yeah.
You've been training for the upcoming fight with Cash the Soccer Rocket.
Oh, yeah.
You've got this whole... What's going on here?
Yeah, let's just say it's not much of a fight. No, I mean, it actually looks pretty nice on camera right now. It kind of looks like I'm just been working out shoulders really nicely. But I guess it's kind of looks like I'm just super swole here or just, irregular. But yeah, no, these are a couple ice packs lodged into my shirt for those of you who are watching on video. Really horrible medium for audio. Yeah, we went to Sky Zone. Shout out Sky Zone. It was a fun trampoline park for our all staff. I know Damon was there. Producer Damon behind the Mac. He can attest to that. It was a good time. We played a little dodgeball. And I do want to say
Lots of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. First off, I got the last out, which was actually Damon, which was super nice. Very, very satisfying. There was like 4 of us, one in hand. I'm just like, I'm putting you out of your misery. Bam. Dodgeball to the gut. Unfortunately, earlier on, kind of threw it and got a little bit of a stinger where I'm, just like, ow, my arm, my shoulder hurts. And now I'm icing it. But I'm a champ. I'll come back stronger. And
I wouldn't go as far as to call you a champ.
I'm actually a Golden Boot winner. I've said this multiple times on the podcast. Put some respect on the name.
Tier of a Sunday league.
I'm sorry. First off, it was like 2nd tier at the time. Then
no, 3rd tier.
It might have been 3rd tier, but Golden Boot nonetheless. Hey, but we... I'm not transition out of one, but we have a great show. Aside from shoulder injuries and golden boots aside, got a lot going on today, right? Definitely going to talk a bit about Monterey Bay, recapping that match, looking ahead to San Antonio, which, my, oh my, that's going to be something. And then we're going to go around the USL and stay tuned later in the show for a little announcement for Thursday's show. Yeah. But yeah, a little bit different today. I know we typically do the recap, the preview of San Antonio. Most people are going to think we're doing that Thursday. We're doing it today. But again, stay tuned for the show. But let's go back and talk about Monterey Bay. I know you were obviously there on your excursion. Looked like a nice win, especially, right, we said from about 20th minute onwards. Pretty much all rising aside from a penalty save and all that stuff.
Well, there was moments, I think, in the second half where Monterey Bay could have gotten back into that game.
Sure.
The thing is that they felt reasonably toothless. They had the shots, yes. They weren't great shots. That's actually been a real kind of theme of Monterey Bay this season. They're one of those low XG kind of teams. They don't really create a whole amount. The kind of things they do create aren't always the best of opportunities. They did, in this case, actually have a higher total than they've had for quite some time. But when you look at that again, you break down and you think, hang on a minute, there was a penalty in there. Penalties are really high XG opportunities. It tells you something about that team and what they're really doing at the moment. Well, yes, they're clinical. They've been clinical all year. And we've seen them, especially in some of those games early in the year when they were beating up on teams. They were really, really clinical in doing so. That's not what we've been seeing. That's not what we saw in them on the weekend. It's not what we've seen from them really in the past few weeks. Monterey Bay really have been on that downward slide. And not great for them, but good news for Phoenix.
Yeah, no, not great. Again, it's funny. We've talked about this Monterey Bay team at length before, how they really do, and to your point, have a lot of that talent. A lot of those similar pieces are still there. They can kind of strike at a moment's notice. Something where even if they're not in form, you really can't, rest on them. And man, yeah, there was just times where there are a couple threats in the first half snuffed out by the brick wall that is Rocco Rios Novo. But other than that, it was, I get there were times throughout the match after the 20th minute where maybe there was a touch and go, but I felt pretty comfortable. It was one of those leads where it's like, wait a second, this was like a 2-0 lead that we actually held. And it's something that was exciting. I was never really too worried.
No, I understand that. I think, look, when you're looking at it from the beginning, the team just felt more solid defensively than we've seen for a while. I think part of that is down to, actually, Carlos Harvey did a really good job in a tough spot there, on one that we're actually going to have to seriously think about what it means going forward, what it means for the rest of the next few weeks now, because we don't yet have any update on Daniel Crutzen and what's going to be happening there. But overall, it feels as though that was just a very good, I think, overall performance. You come out of it very happy. You've seen the team get a result that really they needed. Now, next weekend is not going to be easy at all. At all. Home game, sure. We'll get into that later, but this was in many ways, Juan described it as must win. I think looking back on it now, yeah, it really is. Yeah. Because there's a risk. If you don't win that game against Monterey Bay, you don't come out with that one, you're going to really, really struggle going forward, because what happens? You drop points potentially in the next game again, you're in a bad place. El Paso, another team down the line that you've got at home afterwards, not in a great place themselves at the minute, but still wouldn't rule them out getting something in that game. So it was key. It was critical. You mentioned Rios Novo, though, didn't you? In that kind of... We should really work him into discussion here a little bit, I think.
No, we absolutely should, right? I know we named him as our man of the match. He saved 6 shots. And it was cool. Saw USL Championship put out a nice article about him. And, they had some actually pretty interesting takeaways that we saw out here. So, right, 3rd shutout in 19 appearances this season, but they even noted, right, as we all know, that doesn't really indicate just the type of keeper and the level he's been playing at. He's tied for 2nd in the league with 65 saves. He's posted a career individual best of 73.6 save percentage, which is 4th amongst all goalkeepers with 15 appearances. And the interesting thing for me, expected goals. The shots that he's faced this year, that expected goal tally is just over 29 expected goals. On the pitch, he's only conceded 23 times. Yep. That is a 6-goal difference. To give you perspective on where that would sit Rising. Rising right now is conceded, and granted, not all of these have been when Rocco has been on the pitch, right? But Rising has conceded 28 times this season. If you add in those 6 goals, that's the difference, which, again, got to give it a caveat, 4xG. That would put them at 34 goals. That would put them 2nd most conceded in the West, only behind Vegas. It's something where it's not just that he is saving these point-blank shots or penalties. It's that his positioning, some of the saves he make, I'm going to say in air quotes, make them look easy because it seems to be in the right position at the right time. Very few times this season have we been critical of he's flat-footed or he has, put himself in a bad spot. Couple times, for sure, as every goalkeeper is going to have. But by and large, again, as we talked about, we don't want to keep on going back to the hype thing. But when you are at that, a different mold of keeper, you have to be absolutely picture perfect in how you position yourself, and more often than not, he is.
We need to put that another number into context as well. When looking at, again, the discrepancy between the expected goals from the opponent and the goals that you're conceding, based on those kind of numbers, Rocco's currently 2nd in the league in terms of that discrepancy, in terms of how many goals he has prevented versus what it should be. 1st place is Paul Blanchette in that case.
Yeah.
But again, just to add the real perspective, we're looking at 6 goals that he's prevented. There are only 8 goalkeepers in the league that have prevented more than 1 over the course of this entire season. So that tells you something there. And yes, Paul Blanchette, 6.6. Rocco Rios Novo, about 6.1. The next person on the list then is Connor Sparrow with 3.5.
That's a massive.
That is a massive gulf. And I think, look, if you're looking at Goalkeeper of the Year candidates right now, there are 2 of them. And it's Paul Blanchette and it's Rocco Rios Novo. Somewhere between those 2 is your Goalkeeper of the Year. For a lot of people in Phoenix, and a lot of our chat, I'm sure, it's Rocco.
Yeah.
It's Rocco, no questions asked.
Of course.
I think part of that is, and it's where maybe you contrast him with someone like a Blanchette, is Rocco, just how pivotal he is in other phases of the game as well. Yes, he is a fantastic, fantastic goalkeeper when it comes to saving shots, when it comes to making himself look big, even though, again, he's a smaller stature guy in the goal. Yeah. But the key thing, he's so important when rising and building out of the back. The fact that he's able to get those passes off, broadly speaking, incredibly accurate with his feet. And is just so critical then when you're looking at that and quite how rising play out of the back.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, listen, you say, like we're talking about, it's about the 6 XG save. Again, this isn't a perfect comparison, right? Because a lot of the, those shots may have been in games where they're already losing or they're already winning. But again, you take those 6 goals and let's say you apply them to the draws. Rising has 8 draws. That's, 8 draws. That's what the 2nd most in the West. You apply those 6 goals, turn those into 6 losses. I mean, man, you're talking about a completely different story. Again, it's not apples to apples. That it wasn't necessarily the case for a match, but it shows that he is a guy, and it's perfectly, it summarizes so well on Saturday, where these goals are coming out of time, where they are saving you into matches, where that hypothetical actually became a reality on Saturday, where not once, you could, not twice, maybe even 3 times realistically, he's stopping. It's either the penalty, it's the point blank shot in the first half. It's just in those positions where he makes the defense better. And I get it, even on the Wednesday before, where you have Rakowski in, and yes, they're facing a Sacramento team that was rolling on cylinders. I'm not just only pointing to Rakowski as a difference, but you could even tell how there was a lack of command, or a lack of there was a lack of, I guess, urgency or positioning in a way of the defense. And it's hard to not see that when the goalie is in the difference. Maybe there's shot blocking, shot stopping is one thing, but that's a massive thing to have when you have that consistency all season. I think that's one of the best attributes he brings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you know what I would say, actually, though, I'm just intrigued, since we've got those stats. You got a comparison with someone from a different club?
Oh, please.
I'm sure some people, like Michael, if Michael was in the chat, I'm not sure if he's in the chat or not today. If he was there, I know he'd love this one, but actually one of the worst players in terms of that kind of metric.
Yeah, I wonder
how it compares. Actually, Alex Tambakis.
Oh.
New Mexico. Oh. One of the worst there. 5.69 goals conceded that go above and beyond the XG.
Yeah, it's tough
on him. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Some other players as well. Jordan Farr always gets a lot of credit, but he's actually in the negative column as well. Not by much. He's roughly neutral. It's about a quarter of a goal, they reckon, off. Some of the other people, Trey Muse on 0.93. Nate Steinwasser on 2.31. That's a name that often comes up. If we look at Patrick Rakowski, I mean, of course, he's slightly in that negative column, but he hasn't played enough to really help. You know, he's got 4.55 against, which compared to 5 actual goals.
Yeah.
It's interesting. How I think we often kind of stop and talk about some of these goalkeepers at times. Is this guy a particularly good goalkeeper?
Sure.
Some of them you say yes, some no. We often focus on things like the eye test, or even, to be honest, based on just how their team is performing. And part of that can be the defense as well. When you break down some of these numbers, it is interesting to see what the discrepancy really is between the goals that they should on paper be conceding and the goals they actually are.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think it's always interesting, right? You never want to. Sometimes when a goalkeeper is playing as a standout for one of the worst teams, kind of like what we saw last year with Ben Lund, it makes it like, this is good, but also this is not good that he's in this position. I think the way where Rising is at, and where Rocco has positively impacted games, and in a lot of ways have kept them in some games, I think it's one of those performances where you look and it's like, okay, it's not just empty stats. It's not just teams who are taking a bunch of shots on him. And, you know, of course you're going to get those big numbers. It's the fact that I think a lot of times in these matches, right, Rising, even if they're, let's say, not the most dominant team, or, you know, they deserve to either lose or draw, whatever, their opponents are not always getting a ton of shots on them. And yet it's because of when they do, a lot of times they're good chances. So the fact that Rocco's able to make these high XG saves makes a difference.
They're good chances because they're often the sloppy mistakes leading.
Exactly.
And that's the key thing. It's those moments like we saw in Miami, or like we saw in that game against Colorado Springs, which actually was a low XG chance.
Which is fascinating.
They got this good in that one, because I think
it
where
was
the position
so
it was,
easy,
it's quite... But I guess setting the chance up because of the bad ball across there. I don't know. It's interesting. Never really easy to catch all of those things by the eye test. But again, it's something that I think if you ask Rising fans about what they've thought about Rocco, they've really been impressed by what they've seen from him.
Certainly.
Kind of follows in that tradition, that good old tradition from Rising of just having goalkeepers that really are able to stand up and just put the team on their back when it's needed.
Something in the water here is just the goalkeepers, man. Year after year, season after season. It's just impressive.
Maybe the Corey Robertson impact as well.
I mean,
the guys had a lot of quality goalkeepers going.
I know we had him on. Was it the pregame show earlier in the season?
We did. Now he won't take credit for that, but
sure.
I'm sure. Well, he probably won't.
Of course, no. It's a humble guy. That's what we like. No, but talking.
He doesn't like being in front of the camera either. So.
That's okay. That's okay. Got him on there. No, talking about a little bit more about Saturday. I mentioned Carlos Harvey. The stats lackey. Well, I can't say lackey. I don't know. Maybe that's not good because it's an internship. The stats guru Reese pulled a couple of Carlos Harvey stats. Won 8 out of 11 duels. He assisted the Arteaga goal, as we know. 4 clearances. I mean, again, if it wasn't for a Rocco performance and a couple guys got on the score sheet, Carlos Harvey very much could be named the man of the match as well. I mean, we can talk more about his performance. I'm also curious to hear other people that you had shouted out on a good performance in retrospect from Saturday.
I think there's a large part of, look, you mentioned Harvey in terms of his involvement actually in the first goal as well, being ready and waiting to get involved in that. I think that, look, you've also obviously got to credit the goal scorers, Manuel Arteaga and Danny Trejo. They get 2 really good chances.
Oh, yeah.
They bury them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? There was no hesitation. I mean, that second goal was a thing of beauty.
My word.
You break it down. The ball from Panos is just perfect.
Oh.
It's perfect in terms of just getting it through there. All the complaints about offside, you watch it. I don't think so.
Well done.
I don't think so. So he gets on through. Danny Trejo off to the races completely.
Oh, yeah.
And ends up tucking that one away. Really good finish from him in that position. And he runs over to Juan to celebrate. I'd also actually shout out Juan to a degree for it. I think that, again, there was a tactical adjustment earlier in the game that we didn't expect to see Monterey Bay in a certain kind of way. Yet they came out that way, and so things had to change pretty early. The team adjusted to it quite well. That exists despite the fact as well that you have Daniel Crutzen going off injured and having to find alternative ways there. I think in the end, the team adapted well. There was a lot of recognition of what was going on out there. And I think overall, look, it's just a good complete performance.
Oh, sure.
I think we can talk about a lot of individual players now. We have been doing, and that's great. There are some players who definitely stepped up above and beyond when you're looking again at Rocco had a really great game. Carlos Harvey had a pretty good game in there. But I think just broadly speaking, good team performance. There's no one I'd really pick out and say they had a bad game.
I don't think so.
I mean, again, there are some people who maybe didn't completely stand up and really impress, but they didn't do anything wrong.
No.
I don't think there was anyone who really did anything wrong that sticks to mind. I think overall it was a pretty good result for Rising, pretty good performance, and I think they should come out of that pretty proud of it. It's tough. It can be mentally tough to come out with so little time to kind of work on what was a bad game on the Wednesday. I mean, that's the question, right? Is sometimes you have to question, do you want that game so early?
Yeah.
Do you want it to come out so quickly? Because maybe you want it because you want to put that bad performance the game before behind you and get it over and done with as quickly as possible. Or maybe you want longer because you want time to work on it. You want to delve into why it didn't work and have enough time to piece together the kind of plan for how you're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. And yet, despite not having all that time, despite being on the road the whole time, which can be an issue, right? You don't always get the training you want. You don't always get the ability to rest up in the way that perhaps you would like to. They still managed to get the job done in what was ultimately a must-win game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it does make you question, was this match, we talked about it a bit on Saturday, was this match an outlier, or do you think this is a path forward?
I think it's going to be tough to tell based on the next game. We'll get into that shortly.
We sure will. And I'm seeing Tyler's comment. Whoever hating on Juan is a disgrace. Especially
there was a lot of hate on Juan after that Wednesday game.
Yeah, the Facebook page.
I'd also like to.
Up.
You know what? I'm hopping back into this one. I hate sometimes hopping into the Facebook Discord.
I know.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
It's gotta be addressed.
I saw at least one guy in there saying, "I'm not anti-Juan. I'm anti-King." Why does Darnell King get this much hate? Okay, look, I don't care, right? If you think that he isn't best suited to the system, if he isn't best suited to be starting on this team, those are all reasonable. We can sit down and have that football kind of talk and break it down and be sensible about things. But there is just a degree of vitriol from a certain segment, right, of the Rising fan base or people who claim to be online at least, against Darnell King. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. Edward, I'm not talking about you. I know what you're like on Facebook. I saw someone else commenting it, okay? Unless you've got about 12 burner accounts, okay?
I mean, maybe.
And again, he is a guy who, I don't care what people have to say about his captaincy. You don't know. You don't know what kind of a captain he is. You don't know what kind of a player he is around some of those other teammates of his and what he does in terms of raising some of their spirits and what he does as a leader in that locker room.
Yeah.
You guys having a whine on Facebook don't know that. And it just frustrates me. It frustrates me so much to see just the targeting there of Darnell King in the negative sense for no real reason. You said it. Did you, Edward? Oh, don't tell me I'm having this whole rant. It's just all this troll. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, maybe BJ's comment. Maybe they're too comfortable at home and need this road trip to take them out of the comfort zone. I feel he's talking about the players. Could apply to the fans as well. If they were more comfortable, maybe on the road trip, needed to take them out of their comfort zone. It's actually kind of weird because when I'm on a road trip, my comfort zone is Circle K. You know, of course, that's my comfort place. That's where I'm going on the road. It's going to Circle K. As you already know, Mr. Producer Damon already on it. You text PHNX to 31310 for a buy one, get one free Polar Pop. You know, everyone says, beers on Max usually. Polar Pop's on Max. Polar Pop's on PHNX. You text PHNX to 31310 for a buy one, get one free Polar Pop. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Love our friends at Circle K. They got the name brand snacks, the name brand drinks, all the great stuff. And I don't even say name brand. It's the Circle K brand. That stuff is amazing. A lot of great stuff to come with us and Circle K. I'll just say that as a nice little cliffhanger there. But thank you to our friends at Circle K for supporting us and just crushing it. They are delicious. They're everywhere. I know they're out in California. They're going to be out in Texas for where San Antonio is, all of that jazz. But yeah, shout out Circle K. Shout out our friends at Four Peaks as well. As you can see, we have a couple select beverages on here on the table. I know the tea shot, all of that stuff. People are asking sometimes, why aren't you guys drinking? Well, need a little time to recover. We're not going to say who. One of us very much enjoyed the road trip. Cat's out of the bag there. Whoopsie daisies. But yeah, shout out.
I had a whole night I had to kill on the Sunday night up there.
Tough. It's tough. No, that's fair. No, shout out our friends at Four Peaks. Good people over there. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I know we had the nice watch party at Four Peaks. We're not gonna talk about the USA's performance. That's for another time. It's for another time. It's maybe for another time. But we enjoyed our time there at Four Peaks. I bought some beers at Valley Tap Room, all that stuff. But we appreciate. No, we're not buying beers. We're not buying beers. No, I already bought the beers. I already bought the damn beers. I already bought the damn beers. The beers I bought were Four Peaks. Okay. Anyway, check out our friends. Check out our friends at Four Peaks, at Four Peaks Pub and at Four Peaks Brew on Instagram. Check out all the stuff they have going on. Of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. And the question I wanted to ask you, and I'm curious. Is it
related to the chat there from Tyler saying Rick isn't coming back? To which my answer is yes, he's not coming back.
Yeah, that is
okay.
It's great, great call out there.
But talking back to the social media side of things, yes, I see it every so often where it comes up, and it's the kind of comments about how bring back Rick, and you think last season happened, guys. It wasn't a dream. Last season,
as I see Mavens keep sports as a place for therapy. That's why people project out. Get my therapy in my own way too. I get it. Listen, it's a way. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're on these podcasts to get our thoughts out and share opinions. But I think I don't know, kind of what you're saying. There's a lot of it that's just kind of thrown out, and it's really do you guys consider the alternatives, or just kind of just putting it out there?
Yeah. Actually, one other thing on social media.
Sure.
We love a few hot takes.
Oh boy.
Panos Armanakis.
Wait, what?
Tweet. How is he not team of the week starter? Tagging USL Championship in relation to Rocco Rios Novo.
Oh. I mean, yeah. All right.
There we go.
Okay. All right, then there we go. The question I did want to ask you, and I want to get the chat's opinion as well. We normally do this right around the first show of every month, and it is the 1st of August. Where do you believe Phoenix Rising is going to finish in the table?
Let me look at the standings. So Rising has a lot of home games to end the year. That's one thing we've got to remember.
Where are they right now?
If I'm not mistaken, so they're currently in 8th.
Okay.
I'm thinking through the numbers now. Yeah, that would be right. So they've got 13 games left to play. 8 of those games are going to be at home. 5 are away from home. Yeah, there's some good teams to play in that mix, but you've got the time. Reese also, Jake doesn't get to vote on Team of the Week, I'm afraid. I'd normally blame Discount Jake, but I can't blame Discount Jake in this case.
Nice.
It's hard because it's such a toss-up. All this look, I think San Antonio are going to keep pushing on at the top of the table. I think Sacramento are going to keep pushing on at the top of the table. Worth noting that Sacramento goes 1 in Vegas after they beat Rising midweek. Oakland could well as well. They've really launched off. I get the feeling that they could. I think BJ's probably right. I'm probably looking at 5th or 6th. I think.
Yeah.
The moment. The thing is that I think at the moment, Rising is currently in 8th, by the way, Tyler. Always be careful, be wary when you're looking at third-party standings, because the league's tiebreakers are a bit weird. This team is currently sitting in 8th based on USL's tiebreakers. But I think in this case, I think 5th or 6th is realistic, with the caveat, of course, that sometimes, and especially the way the league is looking right now, it could hinge on one game being the difference between 4th or 8th. Okay? This is tight. We've got to be clear here. Oakland Roots are on 34 points. Rising are in 8th on 29. There are 5 points separating 3rd and 8th at the moment in this league. That's how close this is. Rising are only 1 game off of 5th place, where they currently are. There's so little in this at the moment, that while I will say 5th or 6th seems about right to me, I do want to caveat that, of course, with the look. It's 1 game. You beat Vegas, honestly, in the game they played them earlier.
Yeah.
And so if Rising had beaten Vegas, if Rising had beaten Miami FC, maybe we say a draw against Miami FC. Okay?
Yeah.
You add 4 points onto their total. They're currently right on that 4th, 5th kind of border.
I mean, but they're not, though.
They're not, because they didn't pick up those points. But they'd be there. That's how tight this is right now, in terms of 1 game just swinging the balance of so much.
Okay, so I think you took a trip to Caveat City, because I heard 5th, I heard 6th. What? Give 5th or 6th. What do we got?
I'm saying 5th or 6th.
Gosh darn it. Okay, I'm seeing Banditas Bluebird saying 6. I'm also going to go 6. I think that realistically, considering where... Listen, I understand this team has aspirations for 4th place, and I could be very wrong, and they might end up in top 4. That's certainly not without the realm of possibility, given how tight the West is, and the fact that their matches remaining, they're playing a lot of teams ahead of them. They could directly impact and shake up their standings, and I think that's a fantastic position you want to be in. It's tough when some of those teams you're facing multiple times within a span of a few weeks. Very tough to beat opponents twice, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I feel 6. I think your prediction of around 5th or 6th seems about right, but I'm not going to sit on the fence like you, so I'm going to go 6. See in the chat.
Fine, I'll say 5th then. Do you really want me to not be sitting on the fence,
Yes,
Max?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do not want you to. Okay, Figgy says 5th. I say 6th. I feel it's been aligned with where we've been in recent months, but there we go. Chat seems to agree for the most part, but a lot of this, I'm not going to say a lot of it's going to hinge, because at the end of the day, it's all one match. It comes down to match after match after match, but a big one on Saturday is against San Antonio FC. They are what we call in the industry of this sport as pretty good, would you say?
Yeah, they're in very good form. Yeah. Very good form at the moment. Look, they're in 2nd after a bit of a wobble earlier in the year. Yeah. Rising have already played them, of course, and we should probably mention that and talk a little bit about them and how they're
chaos game.
How they're looking in that game. It was a 1-1 draw. Rising take the lead early in the second half. It was a pretty toothless up top kind of first half. It felt like for Rising. San Antonio weren't great either.
Again, as a reminder for the stats, Rising had 3 shots that match.
They did
3, and they scored first.
Yeah, but part of that, to be fair, and I think this is relevant, Rising score first in that game.
They do.
Then you get Carlos Harvey picks up a second yellow card, and they concede a penalty. San Antonio score that penalty, but at that point, you're down to 10 men against a very good Western Conference opponent away from home. You have to go into that game then just saying, okay, we defend. We play that low block. We stop them from getting any really good opportunities, because San Antonio are a great transitional team. Really will catch you on the counter. You can't risk that against a team like San Antonio. You have to be willing to sit back in that kind of a position you put yourself in by going down to 10 men. And I mean, yeah, it might look imbalanced in terms of the shots, but I don't think San Antonio had a huge number of good shots, and that's always the critical thing here. It's not, look, you can shoot from 25 yards away if you want and barely hit the target or however you want. It's not really that concerning.
That's fair.
Look, I think overall it was a good point for Rising at that moment in time. It still is a good point.
Yeah.
I think it's opened up the possibility whereby you could come out this season and get 4 points out of 6 potentially if they have an off day coming into Phoenix. Rising have a good game.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a very tough one.
Yeah, that is putting it lightly. If you look at San Antonio's last 2 matches were, again, interesting, right? They have a 5-2 win at home against lowly Hartford Athletic. XG 3.41 to 0.36 kind of shows, Hartford outperformed the heck out of what they were given. Same thing apparently with San Antonio. And then you think the week before, like, oh, you're playing Miami at home. Also not a great team. Well, San Antonio lost that one, and yet they dominated XG and really all other meaningful attacking chances. It's one of those things where I think we have often seen Rising win the possession battle, Rising win the shot battle, and it's a lapse in the defense. The defensive part aside, this very well could be a one where Rising is playing a different type of style. They're out of their element in the sense that they may not be dominating the possession. They may not be dominating the shots. And that's something that this club would have to adjust to.
We'll have to see, won't we? Again, I don't think San Antonio are necessarily always a big possession team. That's
fair.
Not them. The question is, what kind of a game do you allow them to have? Yeah. What kind of a way do you want to approach this game? I think you've got to be very careful. If you are Phoenix Rising, someone we've really got to highlight on the San Antonio side is Tani Oluwaseyi, who he joined in late April, so after Phoenix Rising had played them. So this guy joins 2 months into the season on loan at San Antonio. He is now leading the Golden Boot race.
Yeah, it's on a tear.
Okay, he is scoring for fun. He scored 4 on the weekend.
I'm sorry, did you say 4?
4.
In
4. Oh. You've got it up in front of you. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
It's 4. 4 goals against Half Athletic.
It's wild.
It's like having a cheat code. And you look actually, and I've seen the stats being put around by USL Tactics out online.
Yeah.
Talking about how actually this guy is pretty much just insane in terms of the XG to goal ratio that he's got. And he just scores for fun.
Must be nice.
I think you've got to be very concerned about that if you're Phoenix Rising. It completely changes the kind of team that you saw back in April, where I thought they were quite wasteful. I thought they were quite... I don't know. It was just one of those games whereby you look at a team and just go, you don't look good in front of goal at all. They've always been a little bit of a mixed bag, San Antonio. They had a very good year last year, obviously going on, winning the regular season title, winning the playoffs. And yet, they didn't manage to get it done against Rising at all last season. Rising actually did the double over San Antonio in their title run. But I just, as I look at this, I think... I don't know. He changes things to me. He changes things.
You're granted, again, you have to caveat with the performance. Opponent was against Hartford, but my word, 10 shots, 6 on target, and he scored 4 goals off an XGO 1.47. That is scoring for fun. That is absurd.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Well, definitely someone to watch out for. I know you mentioned Jordan Farr, definitely. That's going to be a fun challenge there for Rising. Who else do you tap for this team to look out for?
It's a good question. Jorge Hernandez.
Yeah, that's a fair shout.
Pair of assists he had on the last weekend, so he made it into the team of the week as well. They're just a very good team overall. I think they've really finally found that rhythm. And sometimes you do have to ultimately find a guy who's scoring those goals in the way that we're seeing. Yeah. I think that overall, though, they've clicked. Alan Martina has found the way to make this team work again this year after a stretch that covered just before and just after that Rising game, where in a lot of ways it wasn't working. They weren't able to score. They were dealing with a lot of injuries as well, and most of those have cleared up. It's San Antonio. They always get injuries. It's kind of out there, to be honest. Everyone knows what they're like in terms of constantly having an injury report that looks full.
Did you say constantly?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. A lot of guys who end up picking up knocks on the training ground at that club, and it's not great if you're them, but yeah, I don't know. I will say, I still find, and this is now, they've also, what I find intriguing, they're now selling San Antonio FC mentality monsters merchandise.
Oh, man.
And I just want to say, that's cringy. I find it cringy. What do you think about that? Mentality monsters. San Antonio really put it out there all the time. I find it cringy as hell.
It is one level of cringe to brand yourself as that. And like, okay, it's one thing to say that internally. It's another thing to then say that externally and put it out there. It's a whole nother level to put that on a shirt and then to sell it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Mentality monsters. Wow. That's crazy. Mentality
They've got
monsters.
Multiple shirts.
I mean, they're really kind of going all in on this.
They really have gone all in on that thing. Look, they've got several shirts.
You think about buying one?
Weird. I am not buying one of them.
That's good. Because you're not going to be buying one.
They've actually got 4 different shirts.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, no, don't spend your money on that. Spend instead at the PHNXlogger.com. That's right. All those diehards out there, appreciate you guys being in the chat. You can spend it on something, not mentality monsters, be your own mentality. No, I'm not going to even try that.
Energy vampires on a t-shirt.
No. We cannot get energy vampires on a t-shirt. That's bad marketing there. But no. Become a diehard. Check out PHNXlocker.com. Again, if everyone who's a diehard, it's always a fun time. You're accessing the Discord, chatting in there, 20% off merch, 20% off on events, free t-shirt every single year of your membership. Super fun time. We're going to be looking at doing some diehard exclusive content here on the Discord for you Rising fans. So be a part. We got people joining the sensation, sweeping the nation by nation of the greater Phoenix area for the most part. But yes, join us, PHNXlocker.com. Appreciate the diehards in the chat. Also, appreciate our friends at OGs. We're flying high after that win on Saturday. You can be flying high after, take some OGs. Your friends out there, always a good time. Look at Damon on screen with the freaking lower third. It looks beautiful. Those are their creams and their fruits. They got all the different stuff on there. I got a sticker on my laptop as well. They're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere. OGs is phenomenal. Producer Damon, big partaker of OGs. He loves the stuff. I do as well. It's fantastic, right? The indicas, the sativas, the creams, the fruits, wow, pink lemonade. They got everything, man. They literally just have everything. It's such a fun time. If you've ever wanted to try OG's brands, now's a great time to do it. Check them out on Instagram at OG's Brands and online at ogsbrands.com to find a dispensary near you. You got to be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. Oh, man. Actually, Mr. Owen, and I got to ask people in the chat this as well. I did not get a score prediction from you for San Antonio.
You go first, Max. So that I can't be accused of stealing yours.
I would never.
You go first. Go first. Come on.
Oh, man. This is a tough one. So Rising won 1-1 with a man down. And
they drew 1-1.
Sorry, I literally just said 1-1 and they won. I said it was 1-1.
No, you said they won 1-1.
No, I said they won. That's a lot of ones. No,
we'll listen back to this afterwards.
They drew. Good luck. Don't clip this. Nice try. They drew 1-1 with a man down, and they took the first goal, and that was away. So now you're telling me they're going to home? Easy. 2-1 San Antonio. Got him in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a tough one for Rising. I listen.
3-2 San Antonio.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling.
It's not.
I'll take a draw.
I'll take a draw. Okay, let's see. We got Reese 3-1 to Bad. Devin echoing him 2-2. Banditos Bluebird 2-1 Albert. Yeah, it's
for San Antonio as well.
Surprised we're not seeing Harry in the chat, by the way, on this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, Harry, how are you? Hey.
Harry's going to, I'm sure, swing in on Thursday when we're not talking about this particular game.
Classic. Well, Harry, when you're in the future and you're now listening to Thursday's podcast, thinking about this one, come back to here, which you're now listening to us in the future, talk about you in the present. But hey, it's going to be Reese is just like swimming right now trying to figure out that one. No, it's going to be an interesting one. It's not that we are downing this team in the sense of, look, I think it was Monterey Bay. Very impressive performance. Yes, you have to know the caliber of opponent, but I mean, this might just be one where like, man, you're running to a buzzsaw. You're running to a buzzsaw of a club here. Well,
should we look around the rest of the USL?
Yeah, I was gonna say you got it because listen, you don't want to play a game where you're looking around the league and kind of score watching, but with these number of games to go, you kind of have to keep an eye out.
You do. So we should talk about Sunday's game first of all. Let's go with that one. San Diego Loyal 2, Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0. San Diego, not a bad little streak they got going there. They're not conceding goals as well, which is a big thing. Colorado Springs, not great. I mean, the score probably flatters San Diego a little bit because of the second goal coming so late in the game. But ultimately, yeah, it's a big 3 points for San Diego as they're looking to, much like Phoenix Rising, find themselves in that top 4 in the West, hosting the first playoff game if they can do so. Meanwhile, should we have a look at... we spoke about a lot of the other games that took place on the weekend, so let's look ahead, maybe.
Yeah, we got a game tomorrow at 8
a.m. Arizona time.
Yeah, that's 8 a.m.
Loudon hosting
You're going to go to a Loudon match at 11 Eastern. They're
actually doing hospitality packages whereby you buy the hospitality ticket and it's brunch and mimosas.
I'm going to be honest, it actually does sound like pretty lit.
Yeah. I think it's like $45 as well for a
Not bad.
Hospitality ticket with brunch and mimosas.
You got to watch a Loudon match.
You then have to. You get two mimosas as well for that, not just one.
Whoa.
Not just one. They're very generous. I mean, it's up there to be fair with, Monterey Bay were promising, they had their like premium area behind the one goal.
Sure.
And on the sign, if you wanted to upgrade, and it was like an extra $40, $50, whatever to upgrade, it said the 2 selling points were you get 2 alcoholic beverages and you get to use the premium restrooms. Those were the 2 things they had on the sign.
I'm going to be honest, one of them compels me a little bit more than the other.
You're a big restroom reviewer, are you?
Well, I have my show customary 5 minutes before we go live. But anyway, yes.
Right, we move on. We're looking at some of the other games. Then Friday, there's a couple. Charleston Battery, Oakland Roots. FC Tulsa, Lou City. Colorado Springs against Birmingham Legion. That one, and probably a big one if you're watching. On the Phoenix Persuasion. In fact, I'd say both that game at 6 and Charleston Battery Oakland at 4:30. Probably the ones you really want to be watching there.
Oh, yes.
Can Oakland keep their current good run of form going overall? Will they maybe drop a few points there that make it more feasible for, again, teams like Rising to start to get a bit of a foothold back up, trying to catch up? Colorado Springs as well, level on points for Phoenix Rising. Yeah. They're home against Birmingham Legion. If they perform poorly in that game, it again opens up space for Rising to take them on the weekend. You look then to Saturday. El Paso, they're playing Miami away. Not easy. It'll be humid. It'll be hot. It won't be nice.
Nope.
However, Miami is still not a good team.
We
need to be clear about that. Miami FC are not a good team. El Paso should go there and get a result.
We've said this before.
However, they got battered by RGV. So, I'm not going to really predict anything on that front, but who knows? Meanwhile, Monterey Bay hosting Sacramento Republic, the 2 teams that Rising played in the last week. As you look at that game, you've got to consider here, Monterey Bay, from Rising's perspective, I think, if you're looking at that from what you want Sac to win that game.
I agree.
Because Sacramento Republic, to me, are not reachable. They are not.
They're going to get the foothold.
They're not a reasonable target for Phoenix Rising in terms of the regular season. Monterey Bay are. They're outside the playoffs now, at least, but they're right within touching distance. You don't want them to risk creeping back in. San Diego Loyal hosting Orange County. That's a tough one. Maybe a point each way, because San Diego are right there in 4th. You don't really want them gaining ground. Orange County also, they're not really that far off themselves, are they? They're actually in 6th. They're right in the mix as well with Phoenix Rising. So you don't want them. Maybe a draw in that one. Drop points all around? Drop points all around. We love it. We love it.
We like that.
And then there's not really much else relevant. Hartford hosting New Mexico. In an ideal world, Hartford would get a result there of some variety.
Sure. And
stop New Mexico from getting some points that may pull them back into that race. It's also Hartford. I don't have any expectation of them to do so. They're not a very good team. Big game on the East, though. Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay.
That's game of the week.
4 o'clock. That's game of the week. You're not wrong. That is game of the week on the Saturday. And one of the first games to kick off as well. 4 hours before Rising San Antonio. So just remember that. Of course, the main thing as well to note there, Rising San Antonio pushed back. Okay? These next 2 games, Rising San Antonio on Saturday, Rising El Paso the following Saturday, are no longer 7:30
They can't handle the heat.
They have been moved
They can't
back.
do it.
They've been moved back to 8
Mother
p.m.
Nature.
kickoffs. because it's hot. It's hot out there.
Yeah, it is.
It's grim.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
It's grim.
Oh, you're talking about the weather. Yeah, no, 100%. Very much. It's very hot. Also, their potty talk broke out in our chat. We were really talking about plumbing and premium restrooms and porta potties. You guys are crazy. But yeah, games pushed back. Gives Rising that prime time slot. Yeah, Mr. Jake Anderson, suit and tie. Owen, a nice little button down and slacks.
Jake's not going to be wearing a suit and tie.
Me a nice t-shirt. Yeah, no way. I said I wear shorts. Bust out the calves, but Owen's like, no. That's unfortunate. Oh man. Yeah, kind of crazy. Definitely have to do a little bit of score watching here. It's got kind of some of those, right? Like we're kind of saying, you kind of hope they draw. That way both teams draw points in some of these matchups. It's, again, not a position you want to be in, but there's lots of time in the season. Something that is not enough time today, at least for us, going to Valley Tap Room, participating in a little Trivia Tuesday. But for those who are usually able to, Valley Tap Room, always got things going on. Trivia Tuesday on Tuesdays, of course. They always got the Wine Wednesdays. They're always doing things. They had beer pong last weekend. They're always doing karaoke, all kinds of fun stuff. Again, they hosted the watch party, U.S. drawing Netherlands. We're not going to talk about this match. Move on. But yes, check out our friends at Valley Tap Room. I heard a certain host bought beers. Check out our friends at Valley Tap Room on Instagram at Valley Tap Room and in person off the 202 and Gilbert. Shout out to my man Donald. He's the homie. He'll hook you up if you go there and say, Owen's buying beers. He'll buy you beers.
Max is buying beers.
Okay, no.
Max is buying beers.
Yeah, no.
Did you know that?
No. I did not know that because it's not happening. Anyway, again, we appreciate everyone joining us because, again, as we kind of alluded to, I know that we have, a little bit of a different Thursday show, and I think it's time.
Yeah, should we talk about what's coming up on Thursday early show, actually.
Yeah, because around we're not gonna have the World Cup knockout stages set. It only makes sense to give we already did the World Cup drawing show where everyone got their different teams that they're covering. Again, Nigeria going on in the group stages, baby. Let's go all the way. We love that. But we're gonna have a couple guests on the show. Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
baby.
So from ASU, we got the captain and vice captain, Lucy Carlia, who played for the Netherlands under-19s. Lucy Johnson played for England under-19s. They're going to be joining us. We're going to break down what's going on with the Women's World Cup. We're also going to talk a little bit about their upcoming season as well. Yeah. It's rumor has it someone might wear a USA kit on Thursday's show. See what happens. Why is that? Well, rumor has it that in the chat you're buying beers.
Okay. No.
But make sure to join us on Thursday though. It's going to be a very good show at 2:00. Okay, if you can't catch it live, make sure to listen back afterwards. Yeah. But if you can join in live, let's do it. We've got a lot to talk about. A lot of fun stuff happening, obviously, in the Women's World Cup at the moment.
Absolutely.
Not so fun, of course, if you're a big fan of the US.
We're not talking about it.
They don't look very good. They look utterly awful. Bottle it. They look utterly awful. But hey, we'll move on.
Bottle it for Thursday. It's going to be a fun time.
Bottle it. Yeah, that's what the US are doing at the moment.
Yeah. Damn it, that was good. Okay, no, don't put that
Max
on.
Is buying
don't
beers.
Put that on. Samantha, I think you mean Owen is buying beers.
No, Max is buying beers.
This lady
it says it on the screen.
I don't know who that lady is. Someone get off screen. She's
Max
clearly delusional.
Is buying beers.
She's crazy. We're all just yucking it up. We're just yucking it up because apparently Max is quote unquote buying beer. Wait, I said quote. Nice try, but no, I'm not buying beers. You guys are crazy. But no, Thursday's going to be a fun show. Little matinee viewing, 2 p.m. I know it is a little bit earlier than y'all can do it. But like, dude, you guys at work, just like, or like school, just like throw up another like phone, like we all know we're doing it. Like, come on, throw up another phone, watch us on there, interact, ask questions, have a good time. I'm even going to give a couple reserved questions to our diehards. Again, if you are a diehard, throw your questions into Discord. And we will ask it no matter what it is. Okay, I probably, it's got to be respectful and all that stuff, of course. But pepper in some zingers in there. We'll really grill them as we do. No, I'm totally kidding. But no, on the real, diehards, put in the Discord. It's going to be a fun time. Ask Owen some embarrassing questions. Again, I'll ask Owen that, all that stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time on Thursday, huh, buddy?
Max is buying beers.
All right. Yeah.
We'll have a good time on Thursday.
Yeah, we're done here. This is going to be a fun time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the PHNX Rising podcast.
Max, you still owe shots.
That's not even in the chat.
You do owe shots.
No!
I'm reminding the chat that you do owe shots.
I don't owe chat anything. I don't owe chat nothing. I dedicate my soul. I put my body on the line. This freaking ice pack is leaking through my shirt. We're done here. Check everyone out.
It literally
is.
He's got a nice wet patch right by there. If you're watching on video, I'm pointing it out now. If you're watching listening on audio.
I'm in pain right now. This has been the PHNX Rising podcast. Appreciate everyone joining us. You can follow us on Twitter at PHNX__Rise because double the underscore.
Double the fun.
Double the fun. Shout out Albert again. For real, join the Discord. We need more peeps.
I saw it was melting down during that US women's game.
Yes, it freaking
yesterday.
was, dude. Oh, gosh, yes. Become a diehard, phnxlogger.com. Again, shout out again. But yeah, it's crazy. You can follow me on Twitter at MaxDavidSims. You can follow this guy on Twitter at OJEvans18. You can follow Damon on Twitter at DamonDog. And yeah, man, it's going to be a fun time. Join us on Thursday. And yeah, it's a beautiful game. You know, it's even more beautiful when you don't injure your freaking arm playing dodgeball. See you guys on Thursday.